Hey everyone. Hey Adam, Peter, Mike from Cornwall, good day. Bill, hello. Thanks for sharing this stream on Discord. Appreciate that. Haven't got there yet to do it. Was a good day. Stuart, hello. Mark Osborne, hello. Look, I don't know how much going we'll actually do, but here we are. I'm about beat. I shouldn't be. There's no reason why I should be, but I'm tea and biscuits, g'day. Haven't accomplished a whole lot this weekend. Fair bit of 3D printing, I guess. Messed around a bit. Revisited this little loco, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. What's everyone else up to? I'm actually feeling a bit burnt, if the truth were known, probably. Everyone hear me? We're all alive? Probably. Hey Paul, been raining for 2 days. Yeah, it's a nice day here today. Really nice. Adam's bike riding. Tea and biscuits working on spokes, that's exciting. Mike from Cornwall just started a PM Research number 7 engine, that's exciting too. David Berlini, g'day. Good morning from Australia. Snowing in Spain, it makes a change from dust storms, I guess. Guess you can't have both. Bill's trying to put you away. That's excellent. That's a very noble aim. It doesn't seem to rain. They seem to have all sorts of weather events, but it doesn't rain in Spain that I have seen of. I just sat down here and it's way too low. I can't see the screen. I can't do anything. Hang on. That's better. How'd the bike go? Hey Frank, good to see you. Wonder how you get on with your collet, Chuck. How'd the bike go? The bike's back together. The bike's done probably 50 kilometres this last weekend, which is really awesome. Nothing fell off that I know of. Bit of a... you have to go to the plains, that's right. Bit of a debacle with that pulley. I don't know if you saw it, but I don't know what it's made out of. There's a bit of a... Yeah, it was hard, and here's another genuine Harley pulley. There's one sitting here that surplus to requirements. It's hardened. I reckon it's induction hardened probably, because it's hard in the top. The outside 5mm probably is pretty hard. It could be a forging. Anyway, it's solid. Good. It's good stuff. But because we had to extend this, 60mm, something like that. We got one of these and basically it's bored out, and we fitted a piece of steel in it, and then we got another piece in the inner and fitted in the top. And then we're going to weld around the top and weld around here. Running a weld around here cracked it fairly considerably. Basically we preheated it, all those sort of things, post-heated it, cooled it down slow, all that, and it just went ping, and the weld cracked around here. I don't think there's really a secret to welding it properly, because that original pulley, that pulley that we did was actually a modified pulley from America that already had 30 or 40 mil stick out on it, which wasn't enough. And when Marcus Christensen on his big lathe cut it in bits, I'm glad he did it, not me, the weld sort of come out as a separate part, so there was zero penetration in it, and that was probably not particularly good. But mate of mine in Brisbane welded it, did a fairly nice job with the TIG and stainless steel wire, or stainless steel rod, and what we found out was that it just cracked. So I brought it home and I put it in the hot shot for 8 hours at 850 Celsius. That's a fair bit, you know, it's pretty hot. And let it cool down over 8 hours. And prepped all the welds up again. And Peter had another go at it with bronze, or with a braze filler rod. Silicon bronze, I think. And it stuck pretty nice. It's a nice job. However, this spline was full of scale, and this pulley was full of scale, and everywhere else was too, like really hard, thick scale, like this all over it. So we ended up having to clean this out with a Johnny cold chisel, and it's all right, but it went on okay and it tightened up okay. But honestly, don't. If you're thinking of doing something like that, don't. So even after I annealed this pulley, or the other pulley, it was still measuring 55, 60 Rockwell. It was pretty hard. It wasn't much you could do about annealing it. So if you plan to put a wide back wheel on a Harley or on any other motorbike, source the sprockets or belts or pulleys or whatever first, and then go from there, because that's the hard bit to find and the miserable bit to do anything. Where's everything gone off the bench? I sort of had to clean up. That's something I did do. Look at this. And it was really quite clean before Tuesday, and then Tuesday I got in and I made a mess again. I'd be a little bit impressed with that. But we did have a bit of a clean up, which we needed. There's a pretty good chance that if we do this again, or if the other one fails or there's problems with it, we will probably machine it and make 3 pieces and put 4 bolts in here and 4 bolts in the other half and bolt it all together. And honestly, that's probably the better way, but putting 4 bolt holes in this is going to be fun. Probably wire EDM or something. I don't know if there's another way, but it's pretty hard, so don't know. Anyway, trouble is, Bill, that particular pulley is not even available genuine to go on that bike, because it's got a 305 or something, 295, 305 or something back tyre. So it's a lot more overhang than anything else, but I reckon that if it does fail, it won't be the pulley that fails, to be honest. It'll be the final drive shaft in the gearbox, or probably the right hand side bearing on that. That seems to be what I would think would be the weak spot. Anyway, that's that done. This engine's had a bit of a my chair squeaks. That's awesome, isn't it? Isn't it an awesome squeaky chair? Sorry, guys. This has had a bit of a facelift and a re-go. It's starting to look like a cute little locomotive. It is pretty tiny engine. Compared to even a small steam engine, it's not very big. It's a little clockwork engine. We've looked at this before. A lot of it's 3D printed. This is actual plywood, which is with laser cut boards or laser engraved boards in there. Roof's 3D printed. And the end pieces 3D printed in little grates, also 3D printed. Handrail stanchions, I've just done those. They only went on tonight, that side. I haven't put the other side on yet. Work in progress. Probably I'll make brass windows here and see how they look. To be honest, something's going to cover that up. But whether I just make, like, honestly, just 3D print them and sorry, I'm going to lay this over a bit because you can't see anything. Whether I just 3D print them and paint them, or whether I actually mess around and put brass ones in it, I'm not sure. Stephen Lane, g'day. But the chassis is looking pretty good, it's brass. The thing we don't have, and I don't know what to do about, the thing we don't have is controls. We've got a reversing lever there, and there's another lever in there somewhere that's basically the stop and go switch. Now, it needs, probably I can just machine a piece to go in here with a nut on the back of it and have a lever sticking out here that'll work all right for forward and reverse, you know, just finger lever. That's one way, and that's the other way. Could probably do something like that. Maybe I'm going to put some sort of a wire lever with what would be awesome would be a stop and go button on the roof, something like that. Don't know yet. The other one's a bit more complicated because it's hidden away inside there, so I'm going to put probably the other thing we could do is make a piece here, like a plate with a couple of holes in it, and put knobs on the back, but it gets a bit fiddly. Yes, it would, tea and biscuits, but we'll see how we go with that. This actually has signalling capabilities. These Hornby mechanisms have this little lever here, and when it's going, if it hits the bump under the track, the signal pops up, it'll stop it. It's got a nameplate. Cam at Battler, g'day. So anyway, cute little engine. It'll probably be finished eventually. I don't know whether I put some furniture or controls in the side, or whether I actually make controls that go on this brass bottom piece that operate this. It's probably what it needs, or we put an outside control, or whether we just put something up through the back here. I don't know. Still thinking about that. There are various options. Probably these bumper bars, each end is probably going to get painted red. We'll see how I feel about that. I might mask them up and paint them red. Buffer beams on each end. Don't know. Might brighten it up a bit. Might wreck it. So, cute little engine. Don't know if we can actually make it operate. Can we? Let's have a look. Don't know about that. Probably needs something in there to operate it. There's a bit of wire there. No. Can't operate that. We're going to have to probably organise some sort of a system. But it doesn't run particularly quick because there's a lot of weight in it, and by the time it's hauled on a train. Is it my own design? That's a really good question. Look, I bookmarked an old GeoCities, Yahoo GeoCities website like 1,000 years ago and saved it, the files and pictures. Someone had done this in a reasonably similar way back in the probably 15, 20 years ago. And I thought, that's pretty cute. I wouldn't mind doing that one day. And then when this mechanism come up, well, I thought, well, let's now, and maybe it's the time, because I've got friends who are messing with 16 millimetre. Most of these 3D printed parts are all ABS. These are PLA for detail. But the rest are all ABS. These, I think, are PLAs. No, this is ABS. This is printed without top and bottom layer, so that's the infill in the middle. You can see. That's something you can do just so that you get a little grid. Hey, Kevin. So I had them bookmarked, and I thought, gee, that's a pretty little engine. And it was probably a much nicer engine than this, and the guy used actually mammoth locomotive spectacle plates front and back and a few other bits. And it was quite a pretty little engine, a Garden Railway engine. I thought, yeah, that's really nice. I keep them. So when I was looking through old floppy disks and compact disks and things from when I brought stuff up from home, I found them, and I thought, well, I'm going to do that. So I posted a picture on one of the 16 millimetre Facebook groups of progress, and the original guy whose website I copied actually jumped up and said, hey, I've got one of them, this is what it looks like. So it's really nice. So it was good to actually put a sort of a face to that 15, 20 years on. Anyway, that's kind of a copy of that idea, and the design sort of as I go sort of a thing. Hey, Fridge. So there we go. I'm sorry they're late. We don't actually take attendance. I don't care whether you're late or don't turn up or whatever. I'll be here. Of course I do. You're all very important people. So that's kind of what I've done for a lot of the weekend, and not a lot else, to be honest. I messed around. I've painted this, I've cleaned it, I've printed some more parts. I've sort of got it half looking okay, really. But haven't given a name. There's no name. None of that sort of thing. It probably needs one. I don't know if it's going to get one. But it needs some rolling stock. I've been messing with this as a sort of a, I don't know. The situation is that at some point, this workshop's sort of start turning some money if I'm going to actually go ahead and keep living here. That's kind of how it is. Not just living here, but if I'm going to actually go ahead and keep living, this workshop's got to actually earn some money. That's real talk. So, don't know how to do it. But Peter, you're spot on. Yeah, that's probably it's a procrastination project. These little couplers I've been messing around with, and this is sort of the final sort of draft of them, and they're pretty nice actually. 4 10BA bolts through into a plastic or brass plate behind the buffer beam, and basically you just have a template that you put on there and drill 4 holes and drill them a bit oversized, and then put this behind it and put the 4 bolts in and supply a little spinner to go with it, and it'll have a pin through it. Now, probably sell them in pairs. Anyone who's into 16mm stuff, they're not very big. It's probably about right for this, but it'd be nice perhaps to even mess around and have a couple of wagon kits and things like that. But these are a pretty nice 3D print. They're in ABS, pretty solid, and they should fettle up nice. This should be tappable. Whether I can be bothered tapping them all by hand, I can't tap them. I can't seem to tap them with the machine. There's too much power and not enough sensitivity really for a 10BA tap in plastic. It's about the end of its limits. But probably it's not a big deal to punch these in brass with the kick press and then tap them with the machine. So that's sort of what I'm thinking. One of the revenue streams that we're sort of looking down. Tea and biscuits is mostly because rent's ridiculous. Yes, rent is particularly atrocious, and it's getting more atrocious as we go. When I moved in, it wasn't too bad 12 months ago, but it's gone up since then. And it's all very well having a workshop and having all the gear, etc., and having been all set up. But if you can't buy materials and you can't buy gas and you can't buy consumables, and you can't afford to pay the electricity and all those sort of things, then why have you got a workshop? So the reality is that I'm going to have to think of some way to do it. That's probably worth a look. Thanks for that, Stephen. Dan, we'll talk about breaking couplers and what causes that. I don't know, but I'd like to know why. And I'll probably send you a couple of sets of these to try out if you like, when they're finally up to prototype stage. So I'm really not sure. I'd be along that line if I had to. If there was a market for bits like this, along that line would be a decent resin 3D printer and a decent laser engraver or laser cutter, and for something that'll cut sort of 4 or 5mm plywood, and then you could go out and you could design and make kits for wagons and things, because there's a fairly basic range available from various places, and not very many of them in Australia. So I'm sort of thinking that there might be a market for those sort of things, but however many people actually look for them or want them or buy them. Thing is, with something like this, someone buys a set of couplers, they buy 10 sets, so I don't know. Aha, we've fixed that problem anyway, Dan. Hey, John. 410BA hex bolts to hold these in place will probably fix that with a brass plate behind them. They ain't going to snap off. They'll bust somewhere else. These parts are readily available, yes. And probably you could cast them or spin cast them or die cast them too if you got going, but we'll see. You need less tight curves, I think, if they're derailing, or a longer chain might be the answer. But I don't think these will bust here. Like, I really don't think you'll break them through here. It's pretty solid. They're not just going to snap. So 4BA bolts through the buffer beam, just with a cardboard template to drill 4 2.5mm holes. And then either a brass plate or a plastic plate to go in behind and 4 bolts to go through. Basically hold this one up in the back and this one up in the front with oversized holes a little bit so you can wiggle it a bit, and just put four bolts through there with a spinner, just hand tight, and they're never gonna, I don't think you're ever gonna bust that off. You're gonna bust something else first. But yeah, I notice a lot of this stuff's just glue on or glue in place or whatever, and I really think that we probably should be better than that. Clean the lathe. The lathe got to clean as well. D-bit grinder got to clean. Got a boring bar to make for Adam Carmichael. Internal thread cutting bar to make. It's probably not a big deal. We'll find a bit of carbide for that. Might be a wood job for one night this week. See how we're going. Yeah, we're sort of sitting here thinking about tin plate models. The locals, you can hear that. That's Dan inside watching TV. I must have done something to upset him. I'm not sure what it is, or if it was me, or whether he's just in an upset mood or what. But he was probably haven't talked to him all weekend because I've sort of been in the sook too. So I don't know. He'll come round. At this point, this is a one-off. I'm never ever going to make another one of these. And if I ever build another 16mm scale loco, it would probably be steam. But that's a long way down the track if it ever happens, to be honest. That's not good, John. Oh, the plovers, yeah. They're out racing around. Yeah, I was going to make one out of pretty tiny thread, so I was going to make one out of a bit of 6mm solid carbide. Just sort of grind it offset and a bit of an eccentric and a bit of back relief and split the end a bit and put a sort of a 60-degree point on it. That was the thought, but we'll see how we go with that. Probably are better off with an insert, but this is for a thread that's about 6mm diameter internal, fairly fine. So it's only in brass, so I honestly think carbide cut, if I made one, would last forever. The big question is Stuart. That's excellent. John, have you heard from the Ukraine? Electric's all right if they've got electrified track, but I haven't even got a track, and I'm unlikely to ever have a track. I can't see it happening here. If I do put a track in here, it'll be O gauge, mainline O gauge, but I can't see that happening at this point. There'll probably be a temporary track go up occasionally. Anyway, I'm not sure about this colour. I'm sort of, the colour's growing on me a bit. I think I'm going to leave it. I think it's probably going to end up with I don't know, it's probably going to end up with some black pinstripe or something. I don't know. Yeah, John, it's a bit Putin doesn't appear to be going back down anytime soon, so I don't know, there until you either give up or he runs out of money or someone tops him. That's how it is that the war's going to go on until Ukraine give up or someone shoots him. But it's a 50-50 option which one might not happen first. Hey Darren, good to see you. Hope you recovered from your trip from America. Everything's going all right. Oh, excuse me. Gosh. So that's where I'm at. This is sitting here on the bench too that I've sort of been messing with. Haven't made a lot of progress on this yet. Got to fix this, get it sorted, and make a guard for it, a few things like that. We've already looked at that a few times. Yeah, I could put a Thomas the Tank Engine face on it. honestly, I haven't spent a lot of money on this engine. Just about everything was just bits that were laying around and 3D prints. It's been painted with whatever rattle can I had, so that's why we got that green. And the red was a bit bright, I think. Probably would have looked all right too, but I think we're green now. We might put red, probably darker red, I don't know. Bright red, darker red bumpers on it, and buffer beams each end. Gosh, I can't stop yawning. Sorry, guys. Hey, Rust Knox, good to see ya. Keep good videos keep coming from Rust Knox. You should go and check him out, everyone. Tea and Biscuits, you should check him out too. Stephen Lang, I think. Oh, did might have had a video recently. There was one from Bill. There was a video from Bill recently. You should check that out. If you haven't, everyone's seen that, I'm sure. And milling on the laser, right, as long as you don't, if you remember not to climb mill. You keep everything nice and tight, the axes you're not using. Oh, that's exciting. Very interesting topic, that, Stephen. I'd be interested to see that. Jeez Louise, sorry. So this bench has been clean this weekend, and I guess it'll be clean again at some point. Don't know when. It's sort of a work in progress. I spent 10 minutes tonight putting stuff away again. Oh, I'm nearly dozing off there. Trying not to. I was thinking this needs a headlamp on it, but I don't know where to put it, to be honest. Or whether it's going to get it. Probably it just needs like a single lamp on the corner here, like a hand lantern on a bracket, something like that. Don't know. Yeah, big day at work. I don't know. It was a big day at work. It seems to be that we seem to spend a lot of time. We do spend a bit of time chasing our tail, just trying to chase up and get things sorted. I've been away for 3 days, and today I'm back, and there's orders and quotes and things like that ready for tomorrow, which will probably be a big, like, actual repair day. And Friday, and then Saturday, I guess. Then rinse and repeat. Wonder what they're in tea and biscuits. I would honestly, if they've all got to be in the same place, I'd make a template, make something out of a bit of decent steel that fits on the part, and drop the part in it, or put it over the part, and drill in the same spot through the template. But I think even if it's in brass, a bit of cutting oil and a bit of speed, and be careful. Sorry, everyone else will be doing it now. Well, there's 1,000 things I want to do, and I need to just get in and do them. A lot of projects just need some time to, as much as parts and things, but you tend to get in and do things and then discover that you need parts or you need supplies for them, and that gets old quick. I'm at that point where spending money without a lot of income or return is a bit difficult. Or not difficult, but it's an uncomfortable thing to do. To make some pins for here, like coupling pins. I'm going to make coupling pins for these too. I think I'm just going to use a piece of 2mm wire, drop through there, put a bend in the end of it. Probably print a few plastic washers that'll fit over the edge of the bit of 2mm wire. Just push on, force up there, nice tight fit. Set them at the top, and have them so they'll drop in there. Don't know yet. We'll have a look at it. Oh dear, David, that happens. Happens. A hook on the top of the pin. Now that's interesting. I have to think about that. So just a D bit, a DI, something like that. Is that what it needs? Yeah, well, that's doable. Absolutely. Make some really nice little pins like that. Anyway, big shout out to Stephen Lang. A couple of precision ground flat stones there from him. I don't think it's a particularly fun job, but he seems to be selling a few sets, and that's an awesome thing. So you should support him, especially if you're in the States. If you're here in Australia, it's a bit more difficult to get him out of America, but they're pretty good stones. I just can't stop yawning. Everyone else is a bit sleepy too by the look of it. Gee, I'm not doing so well here. I don't know about that. I don't even know if a lathe can really, not in its entirety. It can make enough bits to make another serviceable machine, but whether it's as good as the one that you had before, I don't know. There's certainly I don't know. What's the bottom in the background, Kevin? That's the low gauge Molliette, LBSC's Molliette. It's a work in progress. I pulled it down I bought it as a kit, as a project kit, a half-built project kit. I pulled it down and it's got some crank axle problems, to be honest. So probably going to make another crank for it. I fixed the wheels to a certain extent. All the leading and trailing axles are all sorted. The middle one's less than ideal. So at this point, probably it needs, I think, probably it needs a new crank axle. That'll be the next job on that one. Another thing I'd like to do in the next few months is buy the copper, or the rest of the copper for the boiler for Princess Marina. I'd really like to get in and get that in steam, to be honest. That's kind of where we're at with that. It's a job I'd really like to get finished. But we'll see how we go with it. I'm at this point without a car, and I have been for quite some time, which is a bit of a nuisance. Cars are going through the roof, and I'm looking for stuff. Probably going to end up with a 5 or 6 year old Volkswagen Transport or something like that. I think might be the answer. Either a van or a flat tray. I don't know, but it's still looking, and it's all a little bit sort of superfluous at the moment anyway, because I haven't got any money. Vehicles are getting expensive, but that might change eventually. It's a really good documentary by Society of Ornamental Turners, which it's a bit of an oxymoron, because before Lindo and more modern pundits and Facebook of ornamental turning and the history of machining, that sort of thing, early history of machining, The Society of Ornamental Turners were a pretty sleepy bunch. They're kind of apologies for anyone who's a member, but my impression of them at meetings and things when I did 10 virtual meetings years ago were that they were all dead from the ankles up. I think that's probably how you describe them. And there was a whole lot of not very much, sort of got done very, very slowly. Joining the society was an ordeal, it was really a bit of a 3-month trek. You had to be prepared to cross the Alps with Hannibal's elephants, etc., etc., etc. But they did produce some fairly awesome documentaries and things. And one of them's called, is by one of the Clerkenwell watch case makers from London. Very, very good documentary about ornamental turning lathes and right through to numerical control banknote engraving machines and stuff like that. And back to pole lathes and sort of earliest incantations of the lathe. It's not a bad watch if you can see it. It's called, oh gosh, I can't think what it's called. I might have to fish it out and bring it down for next week so that everyone can see it and then you know what you're looking for. But I've got it on DVD. I think it might be available online somewhere now. I don't know. I doubt it. I'm surprised you haven't seen that, Darren. It's pretty good. It covers straight line engines and ornamental turning and the Ornamental Turners Association or the Society of Ornamental Turning or Turners or whatever they call themselves. And there's a lot of very elderly gentlemen in a small room waiting for, contemplating the minutes, But he went right back to pole lathes and chair bodging and that sort of thing. There's also another very good channel on YouTube, Harry. Oh my gosh, I can't remember his name either. Leatherworker. But he sort of does a lot of videos on greenwood carving and chair bodging, that sort of thing. Green chair making and that sort of work, which would have been, I guess, the origins of the lathe. Yeah, tweed. Probably not so much tweed, but definitely elbow pads. Definitely elbow pads. And flat caps, or peak caps probably. Houndstooth, yeah. +4s. Knickerbockers tucked in shorts, in socks. And it's very much gentry. Darren, of course, visited the Plumier Foundation and played with some ornamental turning machinery last month when he was in America. I believe doing a clock repair job for a client, so as you do. But that's all very interesting actually, and to go back to pole lathes and things like that, and where they come from and how they progressed. So all those fancy attachments that come with ornamental turning lathes, it's one of those things that you can't really, you've got to be very, very brave to start a project like that. It would be awesome to have a replica held Zapful here. But having said that, there's probably 20 grand in raw materials before you start. And the thing is, the scary thing about ornamental turning lathes is that you never ever finish them. Anyone I've ever known who has an ornamental turning lathe, it's an ongoing 40-year project, and they're going to die without it being completed. So that's a rabbit hole that I'm reluctant to go down, to be honest. While it's a very, very interesting topic and there's lots of cool stuff that they do, you never ever get one finished, and it's just a bottomless pit of money. Anyway, you can do a certain amount on engine lathe, and certainly I've got big plans to do probably an ellipse chuck and a I don't know, I'd really like to build a head for the launch at some point, maybe a rocking head with bumpers for rosette work, but probably will never happen either. That's also a very good channel, Bill. I haven't seen him for a long time though. I haven't seen any new stuff. Maybe I'm just missing it. Maybe I'm not watching all the cool stuff on YouTube at the moment. I don't know what it is. But all things that interest me, and all things that you could spend a lifetime doing if you were that interested, but I'm not sure I am. Steam engines do interest me, and I'd like to get my locomotive here finished and in steam and on the track. I'd like at some point to have a bit more of an interest in full-size steam, and I would also I don't know, I'd like to be able to build at least one petrol, gas or internal combustion engine that actually runs. That's my other huge ambition for the next few years. So far I've pulled up stumps on that over the last 10 years or so. Not good at that. But yeah, I want to see Princess Marina running. Tender's sort of getting close to finished. Can mess around and do a bit more work on that. There's a few filler holes and stuff like that and some pipe work. A bit more brass work to do. It's starting to look like. The chassis for the engine's running, the lubricator needs a little bit more work. Smoke box is sort of in place and on, roughed out. It needs a boiler and needs some running boards. You probably could put the running boards through it next. Depending on how brave we are there. But they're all big projects. Haven't got any full-size steam railways near here, not really. There's a couple down in northern New South Wales. I've got a couple of mates who keep threatening to start their own. Not sure how that's going. The same with the rest of us, we all run out of money. Probably there'll be a they know who they are. probably there'll be a roller or a traction engine or a portable engine or something that plays a slightly more involved part of my life at some point in the next few years. Plenty of electric track close by, yeah, there's a high-speed railway goes over the back fence. Anyway, so that's how it is, and they're all, minus to them, it's probably pipe dreams. None of them will ever happen. I've also got a 1/3 size John Deere tractor I half built in Tasmania that seems to be mine now, so I need to get that up here and start thinking about bits that aren't directly related to the engine and get a bit more of that done. And then I might feel inclined maybe to get on and start do some of the engine. Sort of miss having Dad's guidance on that. So at this point, this is projects. I'm back in the workshop a bit, which is really nice. I'm enjoying that, but honestly, I feel like I haven't had enough sleep for a fortnight. And I don't know where that's going. Get some early nights. Slept in this morning nearly. So there's plenty of things I could do. There is really plenty of things to do, and there's other projects that need work and so forth and so on. And none of them are really, I think, I'd like some money to spend on this, I'd like some money to spend on that. But really, there are little jobs on all these projects that can be done without spending anything. So just got to get a little bit more enthusiastic about them. But yeah, there's a little bit of the whole COVID thing too. I'm feeling a bit sort of flat on that. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks for the update. At some point we'll talk. We will talk. I reckon I'm just going to put a lamp iron here and put a little, like a highway patrol or a public works or a railway style lantern just on here, so it can be changed from one end to the other. That's the thoughts with that. Probably is all it needs. Controls I'm still thinking about. I'm going to put the other handrails on this end at some point pretty soon. They should be on there by next week. Going to probably paint these if I can find some deeper red. I've got some bright red paint, which is this is a reject. I've got some paint that's that colour. That's probably not too bad. Looks a bit bright. Don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's what's happening here in the workshop. Haven't been on Discord much. I know that it's been fairly active. It was busy there this morning, and it's active most days. Appreciate everyone who makes an effort to make that little community a little bit more vibrant and make it all work. That's awesome. We're all a great bunch of guys, and everything works fine there. No one fights too much. Anyway. I probably had 3 or 4 of them at home. I don't know what happened to them. No chemtrail discussion? No, probably not. No political discussion. No conspiracy theories. We could have a little corner. We have a 10-minute conspiracy theory every day, every week if you want. But I've got plenty of them. I could find enough to get us through the rest of the year, without going on to the main ones even. Yeah, lots of cool stuff, but I don't know if everyone's right down for that. I find it very hard to take seriously, but there's a lot of fairly interesting conspiracies out there. There's no information for that crap. The simulation theory, I see. I'm sort of nearly old enough to remember when the hollow earth was a thing. And there were those that claimed to have flown far enough north that they just actually went over the bump and inside and kept flying. Fairly confident that didn't actually happen, but it might be just a cover up. It makes a good story. I guess entertaining. I find those theories bizarre mostly, but yeah, entertaining. David knows what I'm talking about. Who was the flight commander who wrote that book called The Hollow Earth? I remember elderly gentleman in Launceston in Tasmania who had a World War II surplus wrecking yard, which was very interesting. And when I was a kid, it used to be a treasure trove, but he got a bit silly and wouldn't let anyone in. There was no gates into it, and you had to climb a fence with a ladder and all that sort of stuff. And there were big dogs, and he had land that he wouldn't sell to the council, so it was down the nature strip of. Basically, his wrecking yard was in the nature strip of a divided road in Invermay. But he had a little gold claim out. Oh. Labrina, I guess. Golconda. He had a claim out there, and he had a dragline excavator. Look, it might have been it was a cable excavator. It might have been a Ruston, like a. I've got no idea what it was actually, but it was a tracked dragline excavator. It wasn't modern enough to be like a telescoping boom or anything like that. But you had that working out there, and a few other things, and a couple of Ford Blitzers that he was moving payload with. Now, he reckoned that he had found a passage into one of the intercontinental migration tunnels under the earth. There in Golconda, and no one wanted to listen to him, of course, and he wouldn't just show everyone because he was a bit touched. and you really could, he'd tell you about it, but he'd be very, very cagey about where it was or anything else in case you happen to want to walk to South America or something, I guess. But he believed in ley lines and migration tunnels of the ancients and the Great Pyramids and all that stuff, and how the pyramids line up with the ley lines, and they point the way to the migration tunnels, etc., etc., etc. So very interesting. I don't know if he was bonkers, but he was certainly a bit touched. He was certainly not. My dad would say he probably wasn't the full shilling, but he was. He was a smart guy, and he was a businessman. And just in later in life, he got a bit sort of Jimmy Morrell. Got a little bit touched, yeah. Anyway, but good stories, lots of good fun. We used to go out there gold fossing, and we sort of had a. No, I didn't say we had a sluice, but we may have. We may have had a system of pumping water into a corrugated basin to disturb the bedrock, which is actually illegal in Tasmania. Disturbing the course of a natural water source or a natural water course is actually something you're not allowed to do on any sort of a fossicking ticket or especially in a national park. That's not something you're supposed to do. But we used to go out there and mess around. There's another old guy we used to go with when we were kids, and he had he went down some crazy rabbit holes too, but he's a fairly interesting fella. He lived in town, but he went down the perpetual motion rabbit hole from some article in Popular Mechanics in the 1960s that I think if you Google that, you'll find out enough information. But anyway, they used to get talking and pulling and telling lies and yanking each other's chains a bit. I don't know how much of it was true and how much of it wasn't, but Jimmy used to go on a bit about that. And anyway, apparently he found a intercontinental migration passage with his excavator at Golconda. So there you go. It's probably still there. Might have filled up with water by now. Don't know. That was back in my childhood, but kind of grew up in that area of Tasmania in the northeast, and my dad was from there, and my grandfather was from there, and my grandmother was from there, and their families were from there, going back 3 or 4 generations, and most of them would have known one of my immediate family going back a couple of generations, so everyone sort of made you welcome. Dad was a Rawlings man, or a travelling salesman for Rawlings Corporation. Sold ointments and household products, things like that. Mostly good products. And sold out of the back of a Holden Kingswood. But yeah, met a lot of fairly interesting people out there. Some people it was like time stood still, and some people was like yeah, missed a generation because they were inbred. But anyway, swamp rats on Invermay. Invermay in Tasmania, Launceston in Tasmania, Invermay was a suburb that was reclaimed land. That's fairly interesting. It was a swamp, and at the base of the city, and they laid tea tree slabs. Tasmanian tea tree laid it down, crisscross, and built streets and houses on top of it, on top of the swamp. So which is fairly interesting, actually. And even today, I think if you go out there and sit in your car or stand on the pavement and hang onto a light pole, when a big truck goes past or container truck or something like that, the whole place goes up and down and bounces, which is interesting. But a lot of those old houses out there were built like that. Interesting. Tasmania's a little place, and we might as well start at the beginning. Tasmania's a little island state of Australia down. What is it? 450, 500 k's or something like that, south of Victoria, off the coast. So yeah, interesting. But that's where I'm from. Anyway, that's all sort of tall stories and crap, but at that point in time when I was a little bit interested in all that stuff, I went into ley lines and migration tunnels and hollow earth and all that stuff. That was down your way, Bill, Black Bobs. I thought that's where you come from. I've never ever been impolite enough to say that, but I'm sure that now it's out. Anyway, we've had enough. I'm sort of, it's getting late. Take care, Kevin. I might call it a night. I've managed to get wound up here again. Sorry about that, guys. I might go and find some dinner or something. I don't know. I'm really not feeling that hungry. Do I twitch much? No, I don't twitch much at all. I don't twitch at all, to be honest. I might go and print these other 4 handrail stanchions. I only printed 4 because I was thinking that was enough, but when I got there, it wasn't. Anyway, take care, everyone. I hope I haven't offended too many people. Really appreciate you all signing in. It's been awesome to chat. Make my week, really, because I was feeling a bit flat. But keep the good content coming on the internet, wherever you post, and I'll try and do the same. Be kind to each other, and I might go and sit upstairs on Twitter for a bit, watch an episode of Stranger Things and go to bed. There you go. Speaking of weird subcultures. And don't expect a video from Dan. He's really not up for it. But he's got his shed nearly built, which is awesome. You'll soon have some dry place to actually keep video equipment. I'm out, and more next week if there's not a video before. Thanks for that.